Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about today, we'll talk about that in the next video, but the first thing that I want to talk about today is going to be the align environment. In particular, I want to use it as a way to show how we can label equations and refer to them later in the document, or I guess before that in the document. So let's say I have an equation. Let's say I have this equation right here. And instead of writing it in line, I want to write it using the inline environment. So I'm going to say begin. Now, last time we did a line star, and we had something like this. Let me compile it here. And if you look over here, it just has the equation. It doesn't have an equation number or anything like that. I'm going to get rid of this because we don't need it. Okay, so let's say that I want to give it an equation number. So I could say, as we saw in equation blah, and it will refer to that equation number there, which there is an equation number. And then how can I actually refer back to that equation number? So the environment is going to be the align environment without the star. Very, very typically, when we have different environments, the non-starred environment is going to give it some sort of number, and the starred environment is going to be the same thing, but it's not going to give it a number. So if I just save this without doing anything else, we see that it has a number here. Now I could do something like, as we saw in equation 1, ... But notice what happens if I do an equation above this. Let's just say, I don't know, a squared plus b squared, plus b squared equals c squared. Now when I compile this, this equation is going to be equation 1, and this equation is going to be equation 2. So now when I say 1, it's referring to this equation, even though I really want it to refer to this equation. So the way we get around that, or not the way we get around it, but the way LaTeX, the thing that LaTeX has to handle that is we can label basically any different thing we can label in LaTeX. So I'm going to label this. I'm going to type label, and I'm just going to call it FTC for Fundamental Theorem of Calculus. You get to pick whatever, you get to name this whatever you want. And down here, instead of writing 1, I'm going to do Eqref, and then I'm just going to write FTC. Okay, when I save it, I might have to compile it a couple of times so it can read in what the label is called. But it's going to say, as we saw, an equation, and it's going to reference this equation here. So let me compile. Okay, so as we saw in equation 2. And then if I even put another one in between it, so let's just some random equation, who knows, doesn't matter. This the fundamental theorem of calculus is going to change to 3, and that's going to change to 3 as well. Okay, so clearly this is going to be something that's important or something that's useful. I just want to point out one thing. Equation ref is going to put it with parentheses, and if I just do ref, it's just going to put the number 3. Okay, and we'll see why we might want to use the ref in upcoming videos.